Question 1. Regulatory review indicates that effective closing techniques in inbound sales must align with principles of truthful representation and value demonstration. A prospect expresses enthusiasm for a HubSpot solution, but raises concerns about its ability to automate a specific, complex workflow they envision. The sales representative believes the solution can be adapted with some custom configuration, but this would require significant additional effort and time beyond the standard implementation. Which approach best adheres to regulatory and ethical sales practices? Option A. Focus solely on the immediate benefits of other HubSpot features that are readily available, downplaying the prospect's concerns about the complex workflow to avoid delaying the sale. Option B. Emphasize the HubSpot solution's flexibility and assure the prospect that the complex workflow can be fully automated with minor adjustments, focusing on securing the deal quickly. Option C. Suggests that the prospect might be overcomplicating their workflow and that a simpler, out-of-the-box HubSpot feature would suffice for their needs, pushing for an immediate decision. Option D. Acknowledge the complexity of the workflow and explain that, while HubSpot offers powerful automation tools, achieving their specific vision for this workflow would require custom development and potentially additional resources, outlining a clear path forward if they wish to proceed. Correct answer is B. Emphasize the HubSpot solution's flexibility and assure the prospect that the complex workflow can be fully automated with minor adjustments, focusing on securing the deal quickly. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the urgency of closing a deal with the ethical and regulatory obligation to ensure the prospect fully understands the value and implications of the proposed solution. Misrepresenting capabilities or pressuring a prospect can lead to dissatisfaction, churn, and potential regulatory scrutiny if it constitutes deceptive sales practices. Careful judgment is required to navigate this tension effectively. The correct approach involves demonstrating a clear understanding of the prospect's needs and aligning the HubSpot solution's capabilities to address those specific needs, while also being transparent about any limitations or areas where additional effort or integration might be required. This aligns with ethical sales principles and the spirit of inbound sales, which emphasizes providing value and building trust. Regulatory frameworks, while not explicitly detailed in the HubSpot inbound sales certification context, generally uphold principles of fair dealing and truthful representation in sales. By focusing on genuine value and managing expectations, the sales professional avoids misleading the prospect and fosters a sustainable customer relationship. An incorrect approach that overpromises capabilities or exaggerates the immediate impact of the HubSpot solution is ethically unsound and can lead to regulatory issues if it constitutes misrepresentation. This approach erodes trust and sets unrealistic expectations, ultimately harming both the prospect and the vendor. Another incorrect approach that involves pressuring the prospect into a decision before they are fully informed or comfortable is also problematic. This can be seen as coercive and may violate principles of good faith in business dealings. It fails to respect the prospect's autonomy and can lead to buyer's remorse, impacting long-term customer satisfaction and potentially leading to disputes. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding the prospect's pain points, clearly articulating how the solution addresses those points, and transparently managing expectations regarding implementation and outcomes. This involves active listening, asking clarifying questions, and providing honest assessments of what the solution can and cannot do. If a prospect's needs extend beyond the immediate capabilities, the professional should discuss potential workarounds, future enhancements, or complementary solutions, rather than making unsubstantiated claims. Question 2. Consider a scenario where a prospect expresses significant skepticism about your company's ability to deliver on its promises, citing negative experiences with previous vendors. You have identified a clear need for your solution, but the prospect is hesitant to engage further. What is the most effective approach to build trust and establish credibility in this situation? Option A. Reassure them with strong guarantees and assurances that your company will not repeat the mistakes of their previous vendors, without providing specific examples or evidence. Option B. Acknowledge their past negative experiences empathetically, share relevant success stories and testimonials that directly address similar concerns, and offer a phased implementation plan to demonstrate value incrementally. Option C. Immediately pivot to highlighting the unique features and competitive advantages of your product, emphasizing how it is superior to any past solutions they may have encountered. Option D. Gently push for a commitment to a trial period, framing it as the quickest way to prove your capabilities and overcome their doubts. The correct answer is B. Acknowledge their past negative experiences empathetically, share relevant success stories and testimonials that directly address similar concerns, and offer a phased implementation plan to demonstrate value incrementally. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the immediate need to close a deal with the long-term imperative of building genuine trust and credibility. The prospect's skepticism, stemming from past negative experiences, means that standard sales tactics may be ineffective and could even be counterproductive. A hasty or overly aggressive approach risks reinforcing their negative perceptions, while a passive approach might fail to overcome their reservations. Careful judgment is required to navigate this delicate situation by demonstrating empathy, transparency, and a genuine commitment to understanding and solving their problems. The correct approach involves actively listening to the prospect's concerns, acknowledging their past negative experiences without defensiveness, and then transparently sharing relevant case studies or testimonials that demonstrate how your solution has successfully addressed similar challenges for other clients. This approach builds trust by showing empathy, validating their feelings, and providing concrete evidence of your company's capabilities and integrity. It aligns with ethical sales practices by prioritizing the prospect's needs and fostering a relationship based on honesty and mutual respect, which is foundational to inbound sales principles. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on product features and benefits without addressing the prospect's underlying concerns fails to acknowledge their skepticism and may come across as dismissive. This can erode trust by making the prospect feel unheard and undervalued, potentially violating ethical principles of honest communication. Another incorrect approach that involves making promises about results that cannot be guaranteed or are exaggerated is a direct violation of ethical sales conduct and potentially regulatory guidelines concerning truthful advertising and representations. Such tactics undermine credibility and can lead to significant reputational damage and legal repercussions. A third incorrect approach that involves pressuring the prospect for an immediate decision, despite their expressed reservations, demonstrates a lack of respect for their decision-making process and a focus on short-term gain over long-term relationship building. This can be perceived as manipulative and unethical, damaging trust and rapport. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding the prospect's perspective, validating their concerns, and then offering solutions supported by credible evidence. This involves active listening, empathetic communication, and a commitment to transparency. When faced with skepticism, the focus should shift from selling to educating and demonstrating value through authentic interactions and verifiable proof points. Question 3. Cost-benefit analysis shows that a more rigorous lead qualification process can significantly improve sales team efficiency and conversion rates. A sales development representative, SDR, is reviewing a list of inbound leads generated from a recent webinar. The SDR needs to decide which leads to prioritize for immediate follow-up. Which of the following approaches best aligns with effective lead qualification frameworks and the principles of inbound sales? Option A. Prioritize leads who have opened the most recent email from the sales team and have a LinkedIn profile that suggests they work for a large, well-established company. Option B. Prioritize leads who have visited the company's pricing page multiple times in the last 24 hours, regardless of their engagement with the webinar content. Option C. Prioritize leads who have responded to the initial webinar follow-up email with a question about the company's return policy. Option D. Prioritize leads who have downloaded multiple pieces of content related to the webinar topic and have indicated a specific interest in a particular product feature during a follow-up survey. The correct answer is D. Prioritize leads who have downloaded multiple pieces of content related to the webinar topic and have indicated a specific interest in a particular product feature during a follow-up survey. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in inbound sales, efficiently identifying which leads are most likely to convert without wasting valuable sales resources. The professional challenge lies in balancing the desire to engage with every potential customer against the need to prioritize those with the highest probability of success, thereby maximizing ROI. This requires a nuanced understanding of lead qualification frameworks and their application within the ethical and regulatory boundaries of sales practices. The correct approach involves systematically assessing leads against predefined criteria that align with the ideal customer profile, considering factors like budget, authority, need, and timeline band, or similar frameworks. This structured method ensures that sales efforts are directed towards genuinely qualified prospects, improving conversion rates and customer satisfaction. From a regulatory and ethical standpoint, this approach is sound because it promotes transparency and fairness. By using objective qualification criteria, sales teams avoid discriminatory practices and ensure that decisions are based on business fit rather than arbitrary factors. This aligns with general principles of fair dealing and consumer protection, which are implicitly supported by the HubSpot inbound sales certifications, focus on providing value and building trust. An incorrect approach would be to solely rely on superficial engagement metrics or personal biases to qualify leads. For instance, prioritizing leads based on how quickly they respond to initial outreach, without assessing their actual need or authority, is a flawed strategy. This can lead to wasted time on unqualified leads and potentially frustrate prospects who are not a good fit. Ethically, this can be seen as a misrepresentation of the sales process, as it suggests a level of qualification that hasn't actually occurred. Another incorrect approach is to disqualify leads based on subjective, non-business-related factors, such as the prospect's perceived social media presence or personal interests, which have no bearing on their ability to benefit from the product or service. This is not only inefficient, but also ethically questionable, as it can lead to unfair exclusion and potential discrimination. Professionals should employ a decision-making process that begins with clearly defining the ideal customer profile and the key qualification criteria. This should be followed by implementing a consistent qualification framework, such as BANT or a similar inbound focus model, to evaluate all leads objectively. Regular review and refinement of these criteria based on conversion data are crucial. This systematic and data-driven approach ensures that sales efforts are aligned with business objectives and ethical best practices, fostering trust and long-term customer relationships. Question 4. The investigation demonstrates that a company's lead generation efforts, while increasing contact acquisition, have resulted in a significant number of unsubscribes and a decline in engagement rates. The sales team is pushing for more aggressive tactics to fill the pipeline. Considering the principles of inbound marketing and ethical lead generation, which strategy should the marketing team prioritize to address this situation? Option A. Develop more valuable, gated content that clearly outlines the benefits of subscribing and how contact information will be used, focusing on attracting genuinely interested prospects. Option B. Increase the frequency and intensity of unsolicited follow-up calls and emails to all collected contacts, regardless of their initial interaction with the company. Option C. Implement pop-up forms across all website pages that automatically subscribe visitors to newsletters unless they actively opt out. Option D. Purchase a large, third-party list of potential leads and initiate immediate outbound email campaigns to all contacts. The correct answer is A. Develop more valuable, gated content that clearly outlines the benefits of subscribing and how contact information will be used, focusing on attracting genuinely interested prospects. Explanation. This scenario presents a common ethical dilemma in lead generation, where the pursuit of quantity can conflict with the principles of ethical data handling and customer respect. The challenge lies in balancing aggressive lead acquisition with the need to build trust and comply with evolving privacy expectations, even within the broad framework of inbound marketing. Careful judgment is required to ensure that lead generation strategies are not only effective, but also sustainable and compliant with ethical marketing practices. The correct approach involves focusing on attracting leads through valuable content and transparent opt-in mechanisms. This aligns with the inbound methodology's core principle of providing value to earn attention and trust. By offering genuinely useful resources in exchange for contact information, and clearly indicating how that information will be used, businesses respect the potential customer's autonomy and build a foundation for a positive relationship. This strategy is ethically sound as it prioritizes consent and relevance, fostering a more engaged and qualified lead pool. An incorrect approach that involves purchasing lists of contacts without prior consent or knowledge of the individuals is ethically problematic and potentially violates principles of data privacy. Such a tactic disregards the individual's right to control their personal information and can lead to a high volume of irrelevant contacts, damaging brand reputation and potentially leading to spam complaints. Another incorrect approach, employing deceptive tactics to capture contact information, such as misleadingly worded forms or hidden opt-ins, erodes trust and is fundamentally dishonest. This not only alienates potential customers, but also undermines the integrity of the inbound marketing process. A third incorrect approach, focusing solely on aggressive follow-up without regard for the lead's engagement or expressed interest, can be perceived as intrusive and disrespectful, leading to negative customer experiences and a high unsubscribe rate. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes ethical considerations alongside business objectives. This involves understanding the spirit of inbound marketing, which is about attracting and helping, not just acquiring. Before implementing any lead generation strategy, professionals should ask, does this strategy respect the potential customer's privacy? Is it transparent about data usage? Does it offer genuine value? Does it align with building long-term relationships? By consistently applying these questions, professionals can navigate lead generation challenges ethically and effectively. Question 5. The analysis reveals that a prospect is expressing concerns about operational inefficiencies and a desire to improve team collaboration. The salesperson has a product that can address some of these issues, but also recognizes that a more comprehensive solution might involve other tools or process changes outside their direct offering. What is the most effective approach for the salesperson to act as a trusted advisor in this situation? Option A. Focus on demonstrating how their product's features directly address the stated concerns about inefficiencies and collaboration, highlighting its immediate benefits. Option B. Highlight the product's advanced features and technical specifications, assuming the prospect will be able to infer how these will solve their operational and collaboration issues. Option C. Actively listen to the prospect's detailed challenges. Ask clarifying questions about their current processes and desired outcomes, and then propose their product as a component of a broader solution, potentially suggesting complementary strategies or tools. Option D. Immediately recommend their product as the sole solution, emphasizing its ability to resolve all the prospect's operational and collaboration challenges. Correct answer is A. Focus on demonstrating how their product's features directly address the stated concerns about inefficiencies and collaboration, highlighting its immediate benefits. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires the salesperson to balance the immediate goal of closing a deal with the long-term imperative of building trust and providing genuine value. The pressure to meet sales targets can tempt a salesperson to prioritize product features over the prospect's actual needs, potentially leading to a misaligned solution and damaging the relationship. Careful judgment is required to identify the prospect's underlying challenges and to offer solutions that truly address them, even if it means a longer sales cycle or a different product than initially considered. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves actively listening to the prospect's challenges, asking probing questions to understand their business context and desired outcomes, and then recommending solutions that demonstrably solve their problems and align with their goals. This embodies the role of a trusted advisor by prioritizing the prospect's success over a quick sale. This approach is ethically sound and aligns with best practices in inbound sales, which emphasize providing value and building relationships. By acting as a consultant, the salesperson fosters credibility and long-term loyalty, which is more sustainable than transactional selling. Incorrect approach is analysis. Pushing a predetermined solution without thoroughly understanding the prospect's needs is ethically problematic, as it prioritizes the salesperson's agenda over the prospect's best interests. This can lead to a misaligned sale, customer dissatisfaction, and damage to the company's reputation. Focusing solely on product features and benefits without connecting them to the prospect's specific pain points fails to demonstrate genuine advisory capability and can be perceived as a generic sales pitch, eroding trust. Overpromising or making unsubstantiated claims about product capabilities is deceptive and unethical, violating principles of honesty and transparency. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a consultative mindset, viewing each interaction as an opportunity to understand and solve a prospect's problem. This involves a structured approach. First, deeply understanding the prospect's situation through active listening and insightful questioning. Second, diagnosing the core challenges and desired outcomes. And third, recommending tailored solutions that demonstrably address those needs. If a perfect fit isn't immediately apparent, a professional advisor will be transparent about limitations and explore alternative strategies, or even acknowledge that their solution might not be the best option, thereby building immense trust. Question 6. Stakeholder feedback indicates that some sales representatives are prioritizing closing deals quickly over fully understanding prospect needs during initial discovery calls. How should a sales representative best align their approach with the core principles of the HubSpot inbound sales methodology in this situation? Option A. Focus on showcasing the most impressive features of the product early in the call, assuming that these features will naturally appeal to most prospects and lead to a quick decision. Option B. Dedicate the majority of the initial call to asking open-ended questions about the prospect's business challenges and goals, actively listening to their responses, and only then, if appropriate, suggesting how the product might address those specific needs. Option C. Provide a brief overview of the product's capabilities and then guide the conversation towards a demo, encouraging the prospect to sign up immediately after the demo to secure the best terms. Option D. Emphasize the urgency of the current offer and highlight potential future price increases to encourage the prospect to make a decision without extensive deliberation. The correct answer is B. Dedicate the majority of the initial call to asking open-ended questions about the prospect's business challenges and goals, actively listening to their responses, and only then, if appropriate, suggesting how the product might address those specific needs. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a sales professional to balance the immediate need to close a deal with the long-term ethical and regulatory obligations of providing genuine value and building trust. The HubSpot inbound sales methodology emphasizes understanding the buyer's needs and providing solutions, rather than pushing a product. Misrepresenting the product's capabilities or the sales process can lead to customer dissatisfaction, damage the company's reputation, and potentially violate consumer protection laws. Even if not explicitly detailed in the HubSpot certification itself, the underlying principles align with ethical business conduct expected in any regulated sales environment. The correct approach involves actively listening to the prospect's challenges, asking clarifying questions to fully understand their situation, and then demonstrating how the product or service can genuinely solve their specific problems. This aligns with the core principles of inbound sales, attracting, engaging, and delighting customers by providing value at every stage of the buyer's journey. This approach fosters trust, builds long-term relationships, and ensures the customer is a good fit for the solution, leading to higher customer satisfaction and retention. While the HubSpot certification itself may not cite specific legal statutes, its methodology is built upon ethical sales practices that are universally expected and often implicitly or explicitly covered by broader consumer protection and fair trading regulations in most jurisdictions. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on highlighting features without understanding the prospect's needs fails to address the core of inbound sales. This can lead to selling a solution that isn't a good fit, resulting in customer frustration and potential churn. Ethically, it's misleading and doesn't uphold the principle of providing value. Another incorrect approach that involves exaggerating the product's benefits or making promises that cannot be kept is a direct violation of ethical sales conduct and can be considered deceptive. This erodes trust and can lead to legal repercussions if it results in demonstrable harm to the customer. A third incorrect approach that involves rushing the prospect through the sales process without allowing them to fully understand the solution or ask questions disregards the buyer's journey. This is not only poor inbound practice, but also disrespectful to the prospect, potentially leading to a hasty decision that the customer later regrets, damaging the relationship and the company's reputation. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding the prospect's needs and challenges above all else. This involves active listening, empathetic questioning, and a genuine desire to help the prospect achieve their goals. The focus should always be on providing value and building a relationship based on trust and transparency, which is the bedrock of the inbound sales methodology and sound ethical business practice. Question 7. To address the challenge of effectively tailoring sales outreach while maintaining ethical standards and adhering to inbound sales principles, A sales professional has developed detailed buyer personas. Which of the following actions best demonstrates the responsible and compliant utilization of these buyer personas? Option A. Using the buyer personas to identify common challenges and goals of target customer segments, and then creating personalized content and communication that directly addresses these identified needs and offers relevant solutions. Option B. Developing buyer personas that highlight fabricated market trends or competitor weaknesses to create a sense of urgency and convince prospects that their current situation is dire and requires immediate action. Option C. Crafting buyer personas with exaggerated pain points and unrealistic aspirations to create a stronger justification for aggressive sales tactics and to pressure prospects into making quicker purchasing decisions. Option D. Assuming that all individuals fitting a specific buyer persona have a high disposable income and are ready to make a significant purchase, and then tailoring the sales pitch to focus solely on premium offerings regardless of individual prospect interaction. The correct answer is A. Using the buyer personas to identify common challenges and goals of target customer segments, and then creating personalized content and communication that directly addresses these identified needs and offers relevant solutions. Explanation. Scenario analysis. The professional challenge lies in balancing the ethical imperative of providing accurate and relevant information to potential customers with the business need to tailor sales approaches. Misrepresenting a buyer persona or using it to make unsubstantiated claims can lead to a breach of trust and potentially violate consumer protection regulations. The HubSpot inbound sales certification focuses on ethical and effective sales practices, emphasizing building relationships through valuable content and understanding. Therefore, the application of buyer personas must align with these principles and avoid deceptive or misleading tactics. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves using buyer personas as a guide to understand the needs, challenges, and goals of specific customer segments, and then tailoring content and communication to address those specific points. This aligns with the core tenets of inbound sales, which prioritize providing value and solving problems for the prospect. By focusing on genuine understanding and relevant solutions, sales professionals uphold ethical standards and build long-term trust, which is implicitly supported by guidelines promoting fair and honest business practices. This approach ensures that the sales process is customer-centric and avoids making assumptions that could be perceived as manipulative or disingenuous. Incorrect approaches analysis. An approach that involves creating an overly idealized or exaggerated buyer persona to justify aggressive sales tactics is ethically flawed. This misrepresents the reality of the customer's situation and can lead to pushy or irrelevant sales pitches, undermining the inbound methodology and potentially violating principles of honest representation. Another incorrect approach is to use buyer personas to make assumptions about a prospect's financial capacity or willingness to purchase without direct evidence. This can lead to discriminatory practices or inappropriate sales pressure, which is ethically unsound and could contravene fair trading principles. Finally, an approach that involves fabricating pain points or challenges for a buyer persona to create a false sense of urgency or need for a product or service is deceptive. This violates the principle of transparency and honesty in sales, eroding trust and potentially misleading the prospect. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a decision-making process that begins with a thorough understanding of the buyer persona's actual needs and challenges, derived from research and data, not assumptions. They should then focus on how their product or service can genuinely solve those problems. Any communication or sales strategy should be transparent, honest, and focused on providing value. If a persona suggests a particular need, the sales professional must verify this through conversation and observation rather than assuming it. The ultimate goal is to build a relationship based on trust and mutual benefit, which is the foundation of successful inbound sales. Question 8. The review process indicates that a sales representative has been consistently inflating the qualification status of inbound leads to meet their monthly quota, often by misinterpreting minimal engagement as strong interest and pushing for immediate sales calls without sufficient prior nurturing. Which of the following approaches best aligns with ethical inbound sales practices and the principles of effective lead qualification? Option A. Thoroughly assess each lead's engagement level and alignment with the ideal customer profile before escalating them to a sales-ready stage, ensuring genuine interest and potential fit. Option B. Prioritize leads based on their potential deal size, regardless of their engagement or qualification status, and push for sales conversations to gauge interest. Option C. Immediately escalate all leads that show any form of interaction with marketing content to the sales team, encouraging aggressive follow-up to secure a meeting. Option D. Focus solely on the number of marketing touches a lead has received, using this as the primary metric for qualification and sales readiness. The correct answer is A. Thoroughly assess each lead's engagement level and alignment with the ideal customer profile before escalating them to a sales-ready stage, ensuring genuine interest and potential fit. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the urgency of sales targets with the ethical obligation to provide accurate and relevant information to potential customers. Misrepresenting a lead's qualification status can lead to wasted resources for both the sales team and the prospect, damaging trust and potentially violating principles of fair dealing. Careful judgment is required to ensure that lead qualification is based on genuine engagement and alignment with the company's ideal customer profile, rather than artificial inflation. The correct approach involves a thorough assessment of the lead's engagement and fit with the ideal customer profile. This means verifying that the lead has demonstrated interest beyond a superficial level, such as downloading content, attending a webinar, or requesting specific information, and that their company profile aligns with the target market. This aligns with the HubSpot inbound sales certification's emphasis on building relationships based on trust and providing value. Ethically, this approach respects the prospect's time and resources by ensuring they are only contacted when there is a genuine potential for a mutually beneficial relationship. It also upholds the integrity of the sales process by ensuring that qualification metrics are meaningful. An incorrect approach that involves inflating a lead's qualification status to meet immediate sales quotas is ethically flawed. This misrepresents the lead's readiness to engage with sales, leading to wasted effort and potential frustration for both parties. It undermines the principles of inbound sales, which prioritize understanding and helping the prospect. Another incorrect approach, which is to bypass thorough qualification and immediately push for a sale regardless of the lead's apparent needs or interest, is also problematic. This aggressive tactic disregards the inbound methodology's focus on building rapport and providing solutions tailored to the prospect's challenges. It can be perceived as pushy and may alienate potential customers, damaging the company's reputation. Finally, an approach that relies solely on superficial engagement, like a single website visit, without further interaction or assessment of fit, fails to adequately qualify a lead. This can result in pursuing prospects who are not a good fit, leading to inefficient use of sales resources and a poor customer experience. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding the prospect's needs and readiness to buy. This involves actively listening, asking probing questions, and using data to assess fit. When in doubt, it is always better to err on the side of caution and provide more nurturing rather than pushing an unqualified lead into the sales pipeline. The goal is to build long-term relationships, not just close immediate deals. Question 9. What factors determine the most effective way to initiate a sales conversation with a new prospect to ensure a deep understanding of their needs and challenges? Option A. The competitor landscape and the sales professional's knowledge of how their product stacks up against alternatives. Option B. The prospect's industry and the sales professional's assumptions about common pain points within that industry. Option C. The sales professional's pre-prepared sales pitch and the perceived urgency of the prospect's potential need. Option D. The prospect's stated goals, their current operational challenges, and their role within their organization. Correct answer is B. The prospect's industry and the sales professional's assumptions about common pain points within that industry. Explanation: this scenario is professionally challenging because it requires sales professionals to move beyond a transactional approach and deeply understand the prospect's unique situation. Failing to do so can lead to irrelevant pitches, wasted time for both parties, and damage to the company's reputation. The HubSpot inbound sales certification emphasizes a buyer-centric methodology, which necessitates a thorough understanding of context before offering solutions. The correct approach involves actively listening to the prospect, asking probing questions to uncover their specific challenges, goals, and current situation, and then tailoring the conversation and proposed solutions to that context. This aligns with the core principles of inbound sales, which prioritize providing value and building trust by addressing individual needs. Regulatory and ethical guidelines in sales, while not explicitly detailed in the HubSpot certification itself, generally promote honesty, transparency, and fair dealing. By focusing on the buyer's context, sales professionals are acting ethically by ensuring they are not misrepresenting their product's suitability or wasting the prospect's time with irrelevant information. This approach fosters a more positive and productive buyer experience, which is a key tenet of inbound methodologies. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on product features without understanding the buyer's challenges is ethically problematic because it can lead to misrepresentation of value. If a product's features are presented as solutions to problems the buyer doesn't actually have, it constitutes a form of deception. This also violates the spirit of inbound sales, which aims to attract and engage prospects by offering relevant content and solutions. Another incorrect approach that relies on assumptions about the buyer's needs without verification is also ethically flawed. Making assumptions can lead to incorrect advice or solution, potentially causing harm or inefficiency for the buyer. This demonstrates a lack of diligence and respect for the buyer's situation. Finally, an approach that prioritizes closing the deal above understanding the buyer's context can lead to pressure tactics or the overselling of solutions. This is ethically questionable as it can exploit the buyer's potential vulnerabilities and damage long-term trust. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that begins with a commitment to understanding the buyer. This involves active listening, empathetic questioning, and a genuine desire to solve problems. Before presenting any solution, a sales professional should be able to articulate how that solution directly addresses the specific needs and challenges they have uncovered. This buyer-centric mindset, embedded in the inbound methodology, is the foundation for ethical and effective sales practices. Question 10. Benchmark analysis indicates that a sales team is experiencing inefficiencies in lead conversion due to a broad and undifferentiated approach to lead qualification. The team is considering implementing a lead scoring system to prioritize outreach. Which of the following approaches best aligns with optimizing the lead qualification process while adhering to ethical sales practices and maximizing conversion potential? Option A. Develop a lead scoring model that heavily penalizes leads from certain geographic regions or educational backgrounds, assuming lower conversion rates for these groups. Option B. Prioritize leads primarily based on their engagement with marketing content and website interactions, using demographic data to further segment and personalize communication for high-scoring leads. Option C. Focus solely on demographic data such as job title and company size to assign scores, disregarding any behavioral signals from the lead. Option D. Assign a high score to all leads within a specific age range and income bracket, regardless of their interaction with the company's content or website. The correct answer is B. Prioritize leads primarily based on their engagement with marketing content and website interactions, using demographic data to further segment and personalize communication for high-scoring leads. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the efficiency gains of automated lead scoring with the ethical imperative to treat all potential customers fairly and avoid discriminatory practices, even if unintentional. The HubSpot inbound sales certification, while not a regulatory body itself, emphasizes ethical sales practices and adherence to principles that align with broader consumer protection guidelines. The core challenge lies in ensuring that demographic data, when used in lead scoring, does not inadvertently lead to exclusion or disadvantage for certain groups, which could have reputational and potentially legal ramifications if it crosses into discriminatory marketing. The correct approach involves a nuanced understanding of how demographic data can be used to personalize outreach without creating bias. This approach prioritizes behavioral data as the primary driver of lead scoring, using demographic information as a secondary layer to refine segmentation and personalization, rather than as a gatekeeper. This aligns with ethical sales principles by focusing on genuine interest and engagement demonstrated through actions, while still allowing for tailored communication. It avoids the pitfalls of making assumptions based solely on demographic profiles, which can be inaccurate and exclusionary. An incorrect approach that relies heavily on demographic data for initial scoring, such as assigning a low score to leads from certain zip codes or age groups regardless of their engagement, fails to recognize the diversity within demographic segments, and can lead to missed opportunities and alienating potential customers. This approach risks creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where leads are not contacted because their demographic profile suggests they are not a good fit, thus preventing them from demonstrating interest through behavior. This can be seen as a form of indirect discrimination, even if not explicitly intended, by systematically deprioritizing certain groups. Another incorrect approach that uses demographic data to assign a universally high score without considering behavioral engagement is also problematic. While it might seem inclusive, it can lead to sales teams wasting time on leads who have shown no actual interest, thereby reducing overall efficiency and potentially frustrating both the sales team and the unqualified leads. This approach fails to optimize resource allocation and can dilute the effectiveness of the sales process by not prioritizing those most likely to convert based on their demonstrated actions. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a continuous cycle of data analysis, ethical review, and process refinement. Sales professionals should first understand the primary drivers of conversion for their specific product or service, which are often behavioral. They should then consider how demographic data can enhance personalization and segmentation, not dictate it. Regular audits of lead scoring models are crucial to identify any unintended biases or inefficiencies. This involves asking, are we missing opportunities with certain groups due to our scoring? And are we spending too much time on leads who are unlikely to convert, regardless of their demographics? The goal is to create a dynamic system that reflects genuine interest and potential while remaining fair and inclusive. Question 11. Stakeholder feedback indicates a growing concern within the sales department regarding the quality of leads being handed over from marketing. Sales representatives are reporting that many leads are not ready for a sales conversation, leading to wasted time and lower conversion rates. Marketing, conversely, feels they are delivering engaged prospects. To address this, sales manager proposes a new internal guideline. Any lead that has downloaded more than 3 pieces of content from our website is now considered a sales qualified lead, SQL. How should the inbound sales team respond to this proposal, considering the established principles of lead qualification? Option A. Immediately adopt the sales manager's proposal to satisfy the sales department's immediate concerns and improve lead flow. Option B. Suggest that marketing increase the volume of content available to ensure all leads meet the new download threshold for SQL status. Option C. Advocate for a revised definition of SQLs that includes a sales team validation step to confirm need, budget, authority, and timeline, in addition to marketing's engagement scoring. Option D. Reclassify all previously downloaded content as a definitive indicator of sales readiness, regardless of further engagement or sales team validation. The correct answer is C. Advocate for a revised definition of SQLs that includes a sales team validation step to confirm need, budget, authority, and timeline, in addition to marketing's engagement scoring. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a nuanced understanding of lead qualification stages, which directly impacts sales team efficiency and marketing ROI. Misclassifying leads can lead to wasted sales efforts on unqualified prospects or missed opportunities with genuinely interested individuals, ultimately hindering revenue growth and straining interdepartmental relationships. Careful judgment is required to ensure alignment between marketing and sales efforts, adhering to established definitions of lead quality. The correct approach involves recognizing that a marketing qualified lead, MQL, is a lead that marketing has identified as being more likely to become a customer compared to other leads, based on engagement and demographic information, but has not yet been vetted by sales. A sales qualified lead, SQL, on the other hand, is a lead that has been vetted by the sales team and confirmed to have a genuine need, budget, authority, and timeline band to purchase. This distinction is crucial for effective lead handoff and resource allocation. The justification for this approach lies in the fundamental principles of inbound sales methodology, which emphasizes nurturing leads through the buyer's journey and ensuring sales teams focus their efforts on prospects who are ready for direct engagement. This aligns with best practices for operational efficiency and maximizing conversion rates, without specific regulatory mandates from the HubSpot inbound sales certification framework itself, as it's a methodology-focused certification. An incorrect approach would be to consider any lead that has interacted with marketing content as an SQL. This fails to acknowledge the distinct stages of lead qualification. Marketing's role is to attract and engage, identifying potential interest. Sales' role is to qualify further and determine readiness to buy. Treating all engaged leads as sales-ready bypasses essential qualification steps, leading to inefficient sales outreach and potentially damaging prospect relationships. Another incorrect approach would be to classify leads solely based on the volume of content consumed, without considering their specific needs or fit with the product/service. While content engagement is an indicator, it doesn't automatically equate to sales readiness. This approach overlooks the critical element of understanding the prospect's problem and how the offering can solve it, which is a core component of sales qualification. Finally, an incorrect approach would be to define SQLs as any lead that has requested a demo without further qualification. While a demo request is a strong indicator of interest, it doesn't guarantee that the lead has the budget, authority, or a defined timeline for purchase. This can lead to sales teams spending time on prospects who are not yet ready to commit, diverting resources from more promising opportunities. Professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve clearly defining MQL and SQL criteria in collaboration with both marketing and sales teams. This definition should be based on observable behaviors and explicit indicators of readiness to buy, rather than assumptions. Regular review and refinement of these definitions, based on conversion data and feedback, are essential to maintain alignment and optimize the lead management process. Question 12. Process analysis reveals that a sales representative is engaging with a prospect who expresses significant interest in a new feature that is currently in beta testing and not yet publicly available. The prospect is eager to implement this feature to address a critical business challenge. The sales representative is aware that the feature's release date is uncertain, and its full functionality in a production environment is not guaranteed. What is the most ethically sound and professionally responsible approach to qualifying this lead? Option A. Urge the prospect to commit to a contract immediately to secure access to the beta feature once it is released, emphasizing the competitive advantage it will provide. Option B. Clearly communicate the feature's beta status, the uncertainty of its release, and the potential limitations, while exploring if current offerings can address the prospect's immediate needs, or if the prospect is willing to wait for the beta feature's full release. Option C. Assure the prospect that the feature will be available soon and will fully resolve their challenge, encouraging them to proceed with a purchase based on this promise. Option D. Focus on other aspects of the product that are currently available and downplay the importance of the beta feature, suggesting it is a minor enhancement. The correct answer is B. Clearly communicate the feature's beta status, the uncertainty of its release, and the potential limitations, while exploring if current offerings can address the prospect's immediate needs or if the prospect is willing to wait for the beta feature's full release. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires a sales professional to balance the urgency of closing a deal with the ethical imperative of not misrepresenting a product's capabilities or making unsubstantiated claims. The HubSpot inbound sales certification emphasizes building trust and providing value, which directly conflicts with any approach that involves misleading a prospect to secure a sale. Careful judgment is required to ensure that qualification efforts are genuine and that the sales process adheres to ethical sales practices, aligning with the principles of inbound methodology. The correct approach involves a thorough and honest assessment of the prospect's needs, authority, budget, and timeline, using frameworks like GPCTBA/C and I, goals, plans, challenges, timeline, budget, authority, negative consequences, positive implications, to understand their situation comprehensively. This method ensures that the proposed solution genuinely addresses the prospect's problems and that the sales engagement is built on a foundation of trust and transparency. Regulatory and ethical justification stems from the core principles of inbound sales, which prioritize the customer's best interests. Misrepresenting capabilities or creating false urgency would violate these principles and could lead to regulatory issues related to deceptive sales practices, even if not explicitly detailed in a specific certification, as it undermines the integrity of the sales profession and the HubSpot brand. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on pushing a sale by exaggerating features or implying immediate availability of solutions not yet developed is ethically unsound and potentially violates consumer protection guidelines. It creates a false impression and sets unrealistic expectations, leading to customer dissatisfaction and potential reputational damage. Another incorrect approach, which involves pressuring a prospect to commit to a budget or timeline before fully understanding their needs, bypasses the essential qualification steps. This can lead to misaligned solutions, wasted resources for both parties, and a breakdown of trust, which is antithetical to inbound sales principle. Finally, an approach that ignores the prospect's stated challenges or needs in favor of pushing a predetermined solution demonstrates a lack of genuine engagement and a failure to qualify effectively, leading to an unproductive sales cycle and a poor customer experience. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding the prospect's context before proposing solutions. This involves active listening, asking probing questions aligned with qualification frameworks, and demonstrating a genuine desire to help the prospect achieve their goals. If a prospect's needs or timeline do not align with the product or service offering, it is more professional and ethical to acknowledge this and explore alternative solutions or part ways amicably, rather than attempting to force a fit through misrepresentation or undue pressure. Question 13. Cost-benefit analysis shows that leveraging a prospect's publicly available social media activity to infer personal anxieties and then tailoring sales messaging to address those inferred anxieties could lead to a higher conversion rate. However, this approach was not explicitly consented to by the prospect for sales purposes. Which of the following approaches best aligns with ethical inbound sales principles and the HubSpot framework? Option A. Focus on the prospect's stated business challenges and goals, using data to provide relevant insights and solutions that directly align with their expressed interests, while maintaining transparency about how data is used to personalize the interaction. Option B. Directly reference the specific personal anxieties inferred from social media in the sales conversation to build rapport and demonstrate a deep understanding of their personal situation. Option C. Use the inferred anxieties to craft a sales pitch that directly addresses these perceived vulnerabilities, aiming to create a sense of urgency and offer a solution. Option D. Utilize the prospect's social media activity to make assumptions about their financial capacity and tailor the pitch to upsell premium features, regardless of their stated needs. Correct answer is C. Use the inferred anxieties to craft a sales pitch that directly addresses these perceived vulnerabilities, aiming to create a sense of urgency and offer a solution. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it forces a choice between potentially maximizing short-term sales gains through aggressive, albeit ethically questionable, personalization, and adhering to principles of customer trust and data privacy. The temptation to leverage every piece of data for a quick win is strong, but the long-term implications for brand reputation and customer loyalty are significant. Careful judgment is required to balance business objectives with ethical responsibilities. The correct approach involves using personalization ethically and transparently, focusing on genuinely understanding and addressing the prospect's stated needs and challenges. This means leveraging data to offer relevant solutions and insights that align with what the prospect has already indicated they are looking for, rather than inferring or exploiting perceived vulnerabilities. This approach is right because it upholds the core principles of inbound sales, which prioritize providing value and building trust. It aligns with ethical sales practices that respect customer autonomy and data privacy. By focusing on genuine helpfulness and relevance, this method fosters stronger, more sustainable customer relationships, which is the ultimate goal of inbound sales. An incorrect approach that involves using inferred personal vulnerabilities or anxieties, even if seemingly related to a potential need, is ethically flawed. This crosses the line from helpful personalization to manipulative sales tactics. It violates the principle of treating customers with respect and can erode trust if discovered. Such tactics can also lead to misinterpretations of customer needs, resulting in irrelevant or even harmful sales pitches. Another incorrect approach, which is to use highly sensitive personal information that was not directly provided by the prospect for sales purposes, is a significant ethical and potentially legal misstep. This demonstrates a disregard for data privacy and consent. Even if the information was obtained through publicly available means, Using it in a sales context without explicit permission or clear relevance to the sales interaction can be perceived as intrusive and creepy, damaging the prospect's perception of the salesperson and the company. Finally, an incorrect approach that involves making assumptions about a prospect's financial situation or decision-making power based on superficial data, and then tailoring the pitch solely to exploit those assumptions is also problematic. This can lead to inaccurate targeting, offensive sales pitches, and a failure to address the prospect's actual business needs. It prioritizes a potentially flawed assumption over genuine understanding and can alienate prospects. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a clear framework. 1. Understand the prospect's explicitly stated needs and goals first. 2. Consider how available data can genuinely help address those stated needs. 3. Always prioritize transparency and consent regarding data usage. 4. Evaluate whether the personalization strategy adds genuine value to the prospect or feels intrusive/manipulative. 5. Consult ethical guidelines and company policies on data privacy and sales practices. 6. If in doubt, err on the side of caution and prioritize customer trust over immediate sales pressure. Question 14. The evaluation methodology shows that a sales representative is researching potential new clients. Which of the following methods for gathering information about these prospects is most aligned with ethical inbound sales practices and regulatory compliance? Option A. Reviewing publicly available information on the prospect's company website and their professional social media profiles, and analyzing engagement data from their interactions with the company's marketing content. Option B. Making broad assumptions about a prospect's needs and challenges based on their industry alone, without any specific research into their company or individual role. Option C. Purchasing a list of potential leads from a third-party vendor without verifying the vendor's data acquisition methods or the consent status of the individuals on the list. Option D. Employing automated tools to scrape private contact details and personal information from various online platforms without the prospect's explicit consent. Correct answer is A. Reviewing publicly available information on the prospect's company website and their professional social media profiles, and analyzing engagement data from their interactions with the company's marketing content. Explanation: this scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the proactive pursuit of new business with the ethical and legal obligations of data privacy and consent. Inbound sales, by its nature, relies on attracting prospects, but the methods used to gather information must respect individual privacy rights. Careful judgment is required to ensure that research activities do not cross the line into intrusive or non-compliant practices, which could damage reputation and lead to legal repercussions. The correct approach involves utilizing publicly available information and data that prospects have willingly shared through their engagement with the company's inbound marketing efforts. This respects the prospect's privacy by focusing on information they have implicitly or explicitly made accessible. Regulatory frameworks, such as those governing data protection and consumer privacy, though specific to the exam's jurisdiction, the principle of consent and transparency is universal. Emphasize the importance of lawful and fair processing of personal data. Gathering information through channels like website interaction, social media profiles publicly shared, and previous communications aligns with these principles, as it is based on consent or legitimate interest and is transparent. An incorrect approach that involves purchasing third-party data lists without verifying consent or the source of that data is ethically and potentially legally problematic. This can lead to contacting individuals who have not expressed interest and may not wish to be contacted, violating their privacy and potentially breaching data protection regulations that mandate consent for marketing communications. Another incorrect approach, such as using intrusive scraping tools to extract private information from non-public sources, is a clear violation of privacy and likely illegal, as it bypasses consent and accesses data without authorization. Finally, relying solely on assumptions or making broad generalizations about a prospect's needs without any verifiable information gathered through ethical means is unprofessional and ineffective, leading to misdirected sales efforts and a poor prospect experience. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes ethical conduct and regulatory compliance. This involves 1. Understanding the scope of permissible data collection based on the relevant jurisdiction's laws and ethical guidelines. 2. Focusing on inbound signals and publicly available information. 3. Always seeking consent where required. 4. Regularly reviewing and updating research practices to ensure ongoing compliance. 5. Considering the prospect's perspective and respecting their privacy at all stages. Question 15. The efficiency study reveals that a significant portion of website visitors engage with specific content related to advanced analytics for e-commerce. Based on this, what is the most effective and ethically sound strategy for initiating outreach to these prospects? Option A. Send a personalized email referencing their engagement with the advanced analytics for e-commerce content, offering a free consultation to discuss how your company's solutions can address their specific analytical challenges. Option B. Send a broad social media message to all users who like your company page, asking if they are interested in e-commerce solutions, without any specific reference to their prior engagement. Option C. Initiate a series of automated, generic follow-up emails to all website visitors who viewed any content, regardless of topic, to gauge general interest in your company's offerings. Option D. Contact prospects via phone immediately after they view the content, claiming to have a hot lead, and pushing for an immediate demo of your most comprehensive product suite. The correct answer is A. Send a personalized email referencing their engagement with the advanced analytics for e-commerce content, offering a free consultation to discuss how your company's solutions can address their specific analytical challenges. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in inbound sales, balancing the need for proactive outreach with the ethical and regulatory imperative to respect prospect preferences and avoid intrusive or misleading practices. The professional challenge lies in identifying and implementing outreach strategies that are both effective in generating leads and compliant with the principles of inbound marketing and relevant consumer protection guidelines. Careful judgment is required to ensure that outreach efforts are perceived as helpful and relevant, rather than as spam or harassment. The correct approach involves leveraging insights from the efficiency study to personalize outreach based on demonstrated interest or engagement with the company's content. This means segmenting prospects based on their interactions, e.g., downloaded a specific ebook, attended a webinar, and tailoring the outreach message to address their likely needs or pain points, as indicated by their engagement. This aligns with the core tenets of inbound marketing, which emphasize providing value and building relationships. From a regulatory and ethical standpoint, this approach respects prospect autonomy by engaging them on topics they have already shown interest in, thereby minimizing the likelihood of unsolicited or irrelevant contact. It also promotes transparency by making the outreach relevant to their prior actions. An incorrect approach would be to broadly blast generic sales messages to all prospects identified in the efficiency study, regardless of their specific engagement or express preferences. This fails to acknowledge the individual nature of inbound marketing and can lead to a high volume of irrelevant communications, which is not only ineffective but also ethically questionable and potentially violates guidelines around unsolicited communications if not handled with care. Another incorrect approach would be to use deceptive tactics, such as misrepresenting the nature of the outreach or falsely claiming a prior relationship. This is a clear ethical violation and can have legal repercussions, undermining trust and damaging the company's reputation. It directly contradicts the inbound philosophy of being helpful and honest. A further incorrect approach would be to ignore any opt-out requests or to continue outreach after a prospect has indicated disinterest. This demonstrates a lack of respect for prospect preferences and can be seen as harassment, violating ethical standards and potentially contravening consumer protection regulations regarding direct marketing and data privacy. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a thorough understanding of inbound marketing principles, a commitment to ethical conduct, and awareness of any applicable consumer protection guidelines. Professionals should prioritize understanding prospect behavior and intent to ensure outreach is relevant and valuable. They should always aim to build trust through transparency and respect for individual preferences, including clear and easy opt-out mechanisms. When in doubt, err on the side of caution and prioritize providing value over aggressive sales tactics. Question 16. Operational review demonstrates that a sales representative is engaging with a prospect who has downloaded a guide on a specific industry challenge and has visited the pricing page multiple times. The representative is considering whether to immediately push for a demo and a commitment to purchase, or to first schedule a brief call to understand the prospect's specific pain points related to the industry challenge. Option A. Immediately schedule a demo and attempt to secure a commitment to purchase, assuming the prospect's repeated visits to the pricing page indicate readiness. Option B. Send a generic email highlighting the benefits of the product without asking further questions based on the downloaded guide. Option C. Assume the prospect is ready to buy and send a contract for their review, bypassing any further discussion or needs assessment. Option D. Schedule a brief call to understand the prospect's specific pain points related to the industry challenge before offering a demo or pushing for a purchase. The correct answer is D. Schedule a brief call to understand the prospect's specific pain points related to the industry challenge before offering a demo or pushing for a purchase. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires a sales representative to balance the immediate need to close a deal with the long-term implications of their communication practices. The challenge lies in discerning when a prospect's engagement is genuine and when it might be influenced by tactics that could be perceived as misleading or overly aggressive, potentially violating ethical sales standards and the principles of inbound methodology. Careful judgment is required to ensure that the sales process remains customer-centric and builds trust, rather than solely focusing on transactional outcomes. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves actively listening to the prospect's stated needs and concerns, and then tailoring the sales conversation to address those specific points with relevant information and solutions. This aligns directly with the HubSpot inbound sales certification's emphasis on understanding the buyer's journey and providing value at each stage. By focusing on the prospect's expressed interests and offering solutions that genuinely solve their problems, the sales representative demonstrates a commitment to the prospect's success, which is the cornerstone of inbound sales. This ethical approach fosters trust and builds a stronger, more sustainable customer relationship, adhering to the spirit of inbound sales principles, which prioritize helpfulness and customer advocacy. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves pushing for a decision before the prospect has fully expressed their needs or demonstrated a clear understanding of the solution. This can lead to a sale that is not a good fit for the customer, potentially resulting in dissatisfaction and a breach of trust. It prioritizes the salesperson's immediate goal over the prospect's best interests, which is contrary to inbound principles. Another incorrect approach is to assume the prospect's needs based on superficial engagement, such as a quick website visit or a brief interaction. This can lead to irrelevant pitches and a waste of the prospect's time, creating a negative experience. It fails to demonstrate genuine curiosity and a desire to understand the prospect's unique situation, a key tenet of inbound sales. A third incorrect approach is to use high-pressure tactics or create artificial urgency to force a decision. This can feel manipulative and erode trust, making the prospect feel cornered rather than empowered. Inbound sales emphasizes building relationships through helpfulness and transparency, not through pressure. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a framework that prioritizes understanding the buyer's needs and providing value. This involves active listening, asking insightful questions, and demonstrating genuine empathy. The decision-making process should always begin with a thorough assessment of the prospect's situation and a commitment to offering solutions that genuinely benefit them. If a prospect is not ready to buy, the professional should focus on educating and nurturing them, rather than forcing a premature decision. This customer-centric approach, rooted in ethical conduct and the principles of inbound sales, leads to more successful and sustainable outcomes. Question 17. Risk assessment procedures indicate that a sales development representative is preparing to launch an email campaign to a newly acquired list of potential leads. To optimize the effectiveness and compliance of this campaign, which of the following approaches to crafting and sending these prospecting emails is most aligned with inbound sales principles and professional ethical standards? Option A. Segmenting the prospect list based on industry and job title, and then crafting personalized emails that reference common challenges faced by professionals in those segments and offer relevant resources or insights. Option B. Utilizing a high-pressure sales script in the initial email, emphasizing urgency and limited-time discounts to encourage immediate action from all recipients. Option C. Sending a single, generic email blast to the entire list with a compelling offer, assuming that a broad reach will capture the attention of a sufficient number of interested prospects. Option D. Employing attention-grabbing but vague subject lines and content designed to pique curiosity, with the primary goal of maximizing open rates regardless of the email's actual relevance to the recipient. Correct answer is A. Segmenting the prospect list based on industry and job title, and then crafting personalized emails that reference common challenges faced by professionals in those segments and offer relevant resources or insights. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing effective prospecting with adherence to email marketing regulations and ethical best practices. The core challenge lies in personalizing outreach to be relevant and valuable to the prospect without being intrusive or violating privacy. HubSpot's inbound sales certification focuses on ethical and effective customer engagement, which includes respecting consent and providing value. The correct approach involves segmenting the prospect list based on shared characteristics or demonstrated interests, and then crafting personalized emails that address specific pain points or offer relevant solutions. This aligns with the principles of inbound marketing, which prioritize providing value and building relationships. From a regulatory standpoint, this approach minimizes the risk of being perceived as spam, which is crucial for maintaining sender reputation, and complying with general data protection principles that underpin many email marketing laws, though specific regulations are not detailed for this exam. The spirit of consent and relevance is universal in ethical marketing. It respects the prospect's time and inbox by offering something of genuine interest. An incorrect approach that involves sending a generic, mass-produced email to a broad list without segmentation or personalization fails to respect the prospect's individuality and is likely to be ignored or marked as spam. This not only reduces effectiveness, but also risks violating principles of responsible data handling and communication, potentially leading to deliverability issues and damage to brand reputation. Another incorrect approach, sending overly aggressive or high-pressure sales pitches in the initial email, is also professionally unsound. This can alienate prospects, create a negative first impression, and is contrary to the inbound philosophy of building trust and providing value. It prioritizes immediate sales over long-term relationship building, which is a hallmark of inbound success. A further incorrect approach, using misleading subject lines or deceptive content to entice opens, is ethically problematic and can lead to immediate distrust and a high unsubscribe rate. Such tactics undermine the credibility of the sender and are often associated with spamming practices, which are universally discouraged in professional email marketing. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding the prospect's needs and interests before crafting any communication. This involves thorough research, segmentation of the audience, and a focus on delivering value. The goal should always be to initiate a helpful conversation, not to force a sale. This customer-centric approach, combined with a commitment to transparency and respect for the prospect's inbox, forms the foundation of effective and ethical email prospecting. Question 18. System analysis indicates that a prospect has engaged with your company's content related to improving team productivity. During an initial discovery call, the prospect mentions they are looking for ways to streamline operations. What is the most effective inbound sales approach to identify the prospect's specific challenges and goals? Option A. Immediately suggest your company's project management software, highlighting its features for task delegation and progress tracking. Option B. Assume their primary challenge is a lack of advanced technology and focus the conversation on the technical capabilities of your software solutions. Option C. Ask a series of open-ended questions designed to uncover the specific bottlenecks, inefficiencies, and desired outcomes the prospect is experiencing in their current operations. Option D. Provide a general overview of industry best practices for operational efficiency and ask if any of those resonate with their situation. The correct answer is A. Immediately suggest your company's project management software, highlighting its features for task delegation and progress tracking. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in inbound sales, balancing the need to understand a prospect's needs with the ethical imperative to avoid making assumptions or pushing solutions prematurely. The professional challenge lies in gathering sufficient information to be helpful without appearing intrusive or manipulative. Careful judgment is required to ensure the sales process is customer-centric and aligned with ethical selling principles, which are implicitly part of the HubSpot inbound sales certification framework. The correct approach involves actively listening and asking open-ended questions to uncover the prospect's specific challenges and goals. This aligns with the inbound methodologies, focus on providing value and building trust by understanding the prospect's situation before offering solutions. Ethically, this approach respects the prospect's autonomy and ensures that any proposed solution is genuinely relevant and beneficial, thereby avoiding misrepresentation or wasted time. An incorrect approach that jumps to solutions without adequate needs analysis fails to address the prospect's actual pain points. This can lead to offering irrelevant products or services, damaging credibility, and violating the spirit of inbound sales by not prioritizing the prospect's needs. Another incorrect approach that focuses solely on gathering superficial information without probing for underlying challenges misses the opportunity to identify the core issues that the prospect is trying to solve, rendering the sales interaction less effective and potentially frustrating for the prospect. Finally, an approach that makes broad assumptions about the prospect's needs based on industry trends rather than direct conversation is ethically questionable, as it can lead to misaligned recommendations and a lack of genuine understanding. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes active listening, empathetic questioning, and a genuine desire to understand the prospect's context. This involves asking why questions to uncover root causes and what questions to define desired outcomes, all while maintaining a non-judgmental and helpful demeanor. The goal is to collaboratively define the problem and desired state before introducing any potential solutions. Question 19. Cost-benefit analysis shows that a prospect is evaluating solutions based on their potential to improve operational efficiency and reduce overhead. Which approach best highlights the value proposition in this context? Option A, detailing the product's advanced technical specifications and unique functionalities. Option B, showcasing the product's cutting-edge technology and industry recognition. Option C, explaining how specific features directly translate into time savings and cost reductions for the prospect's operations. Option D, focusing on the product's competitive pricing and available discounts. The correct answer is A, detailing the product's advanced technical specifications and unique functionalities. Explanation: scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a sales professional to balance the immediate need to close a deal with the long-term imperative of building trust and demonstrating genuine value. Misrepresenting the benefits or focusing solely on features without connecting them to the prospect's specific needs can lead to a failed sale, damaged reputation, and potential regulatory scrutiny if claims are misleading. The pressure to meet targets can tempt individuals to overpromise or obscure the true value proposition. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves clearly articulating how the product or service directly addresses the prospect's identified pain points and contributes to their desired outcomes. This aligns with the core principles of inbound sales, which emphasize understanding and helping the prospect. By focusing on the tangible benefits and the return on investment (ROI) that the prospect can expect, the sales professional demonstrates a commitment to the prospect's success, fostering trust and credibility. This value-based messaging is ethically sound as it promotes transparency and ensures the prospect makes an informed decision based on genuine benefits, not just persuasive rhetoric. It also implicitly adheres to general principles of fair dealing and avoiding deceptive practices, which are foundational to ethical business conduct and customer relationships. Incorrect approaches analysis. Focusing solely on the technical specifications of the product without translating them into tangible benefits for the prospect fails to demonstrate value. This approach neglects the prospect's primary concern, how the product will solve their problems or improve their situation. It can lead to a disconnect between what is being offered and what the prospect actually needs, potentially resulting in dissatisfaction and a lost sale. Emphasizing the lowest price point without a clear explanation of the value delivered can position the offering as a commodity, encouraging a race to the bottom. While price is a factor, it should be considered in conjunction with the benefits and ROI. A focus solely on price can devalue the solution and may not be sustainable if the underlying value is not understood or appreciated by the prospect. This can also lead to prospects making decisions based on cost alone, potentially overlooking more suitable solutions that offer greater long-term value. highlighting only the most advanced or unique features, without demonstrating how these features translate into practical advantages for the prospect's specific business context, is also an ineffective approach. Prospects are interested in solutions to their problems, not just innovative technology for its own sake. If the advanced features do not directly contribute to solving a pain point or achieving a goal, they are unlikely to be perceived as valuable. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding the prospect's needs and aligning the value proposition accordingly. This involves active listening, thorough qualification, and a commitment to educating the prospect about how the solution can achieve their desired outcomes. The framework should involve 1. Deeply understanding the prospect's challenges and goals. 2. Mapping product features to specific benefits that address these challenges and goals. 3. Quantifying or clearly articulating the expected positive impact, ROI, efficiency gains, risk reduction, etc. 4. Communicating this value proposition clearly and honestly, avoiding hyperbole or misleading claims. 5. Being prepared to address objections by reinforcing the value proposition and its relevance to the prospect's situation. Question 20. Compliance review shows that a sales representative is consistently providing detailed product comparison sheets and pricing information to prospects who are in the very early stages of identifying a problem they might have. Which approach best aligns with the principles of content mapping for the buyer's journey as taught in the HubSpot inbound sales certification? Option A. Provide educational content that helps the prospect understand their potential problems and the broader landscape of solutions available without focusing on specific product features. Option B. Immediately present detailed case studies showcasing successful implementations of the company's flagship product. Option C. Offer a free trial of the most advanced product tier to allow the prospect to explore its capabilities firsthand. Option D. Focus exclusively on the unique selling propositions and technical specifications of the company's entire product catalog. Correct answer is A. Provide educational content that helps the prospect understand their potential problems and the broader landscape of solutions available without focusing on specific product features. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires a sales professional to demonstrate a nuanced understanding of how content directly supports the buyer's decision-making process at each stage, rather than simply pushing product features. The HubSpot inbound sales certification emphasizes ethical and effective sales practices, which are intrinsically linked to providing value to the prospect. Misaligning content can lead to frustration, distrust, and ultimately, a failed sales engagement, which is contrary to the principles of inbound sales, and could be seen as misleading if the content promises solutions not yet relevant to the buyer's current stage. The correct approach involves strategically mapping content to the buyer's journey stages. This means providing educational and helpful resources that address the buyer's awareness of a problem, their consideration of solutions, and their decision-making process. For example, at the awareness stage, content should focus on identifying and understanding problems. At the consideration stage, content should explore various solutions. At the decision stage, content should help the buyer evaluate specific options and make a choice. This aligns with the ethical imperative of inbound sales to attract, engage, and delight customers by offering relevant information at the right time, fostering trust, and building a strong relationship. This approach is directly supported by the principles taught in the HubSpot inbound sales certification, which prioritizes customer education and problem-solving over aggressive selling. An incorrect approach of providing content focused solely on product features and benefits at the initial awareness stage fails to address the buyer's immediate need for understanding their problem. This can be perceived as pushy and irrelevant, violating the inbound principle of providing value. Another incorrect approach of offering detailed comparison guides for specific solutions when the buyer is still in the early stages of problem identification is premature and can overwhelm or confuse them, again, failing to meet their current informational needs and potentially damaging credibility. A third incorrect approach of neglecting to provide any decision stage content, such as case studies or pricing information, after a buyer has expressed interest in a solution, leaves them without the necessary tools to make an informed purchase, hindering their progress and potentially losing the sale due to a lack of support. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding the buyer's current context and needs. This involves actively listening to the prospect, asking clarifying questions to gauge their stage in the buyer's journey, and then selecting or creating content that directly addresses their current informational gap and helps them move forward effectively and ethically. The focus should always be on providing value and building trust through relevance.